questions, so I'll just quickly going to
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So how do you look forward to yourself for preparing a very important election, both for your party of Liberal Party of Canada and for yourself as its leader?
Well, I think there's a few things. First of all, it's understanding what Canadians want and need. For too long, politics has been disengaged from what people are actually concerned about in their daily lives. And that's why bringing together a great team of people from right across the country to step up and be part of politics, to make sure that their community's voice in Ottawa, rather than being just the Prime Minister's voice in their community, is at the heart of how we prepare for this election. But ultimately, what I've heard across the country is that Canadians need better. Canadians are tired of the way their government runs things through division, through personal attacks. It's time we work together to solve the big challenges.
Okay, thank you. What is your biggest challenges as you look into back and gaining the confidence of Canadians?
I think the biggest challenge is the fact that Canadians right now are very cynical about politics. We don't believe that anyone's going to be able to make much of a difference, that all politicians are the same, and that's where I'm showcasing and pushing so hard to demonstrate real change, to show that I'm a part of a different generation of leaders, bringing around me a great team that I'm going to listen to and work with, and making sure that we understand that our solutions and our policies are based in science and research, and demonstrating to Canadians that it's possible to make real positive change through politics, because right now people are used to voting against what they don't like, and I need them to vote for a vision that they do want for their country.
Okay, thank you. So this will be the first election that the Liberal Party of Canada will have a Tamil candidate in the running. So in your views of this opportunity, how do you see it as for the party and also for the community?
Well, I think first of all, it's important that political parties in this country look like the Canada that we're supposed to represent, and that's why we have such a wide range of women and men from all different communities and backgrounds. But more than that, it's not enough to just have a candidate from a particular community and sort of tick off a box and say, yeah, that's all we needed. We have. It's important to me to have good quality candidates. And Gary Anadasangary is such a well-respected, well-known lawyer with an international impact, who everybody knows is deeply committed not just to serving the Tamil community, but to serving the values that we hold dear as Canadians. And I'm incredibly proud to have him as our candidate, like I'm very proud to have a tremendous number of organizers, volunteers, and even people on my own staff who are of Tamil origin. It's important that all of Canada comes together in its politics, and it certainly is in the Liberal Party of Canada.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's going back to Gary again. So in Scarborough Rouge Park, where Tamil candidate Gary Anadasangary is contesting as one of the new 30 ridings that are up for the grabs. So what is your party's strategy in capturing these new seats in order to secure a better outcome at this time?
Well, I think one of the things that we've understood is that politics now is all about working hard in the community on the ground. Our opponents spend a lot of money on attacking on TV. We're spending a lot of our energy and efforts in building extraordinary local teams to go door to door, to bring the message of political change to everyone in communities across the country. And Gary, for example, has built up an amazing team of active volunteers, young and old, who get out, who door knock, sharing the message about a fairer, about a better Canada. Because it's about, if Canadians are turning away from politics, getting volunteers to go out and bring politics back to them is a really important part of restoring Canadians' trust.
Thank you. So this is going back to the Tamil community again. There are dissatisfaction among some community members about the lack of number of candidates in this election ratio compared to the community in the Greater Toronto Area. So how do you answer this criticism?
Well, I think highlighting the extraordinary quality of candidates. It's not just about quantity, it's about quality. And like I said, I have many members of my staff who are of Tamil origin. But for me, having someone who is going to be able to speak as loudly and clearly to the issues of the Tamil community at home and internationally as Gary will is going to be very, very important in a future Liberal government.
Yeah, thank you. The Conservative government has already started their campaign saying that you're not ready for the job. So what do you say about that?
You know what? It's not the Conservatives who get to decide. It's Canadians. And that's why I've been constantly encouraged and even inspired by the thousands upon thousands of people that I meet all the time when I get out and connect and listen to Canadians. The problem we have with a government that has been in power for 10 years, Mr. Harper, is that he no longer listens to Canadians. He doesn't meet with anyone who isn't part of his narrow circle. And that makes for a lesser quality of government. So if people are saying that I don't behave the same way that Mr. Harper does, I take that as a badge of compliment, a badge of honor. We need politics to once again be about connecting, and that's what leadership of my generation is all about. It's time for a renewal, it's time for real change, and that's what I represent.
Thank you. So what is your biggest optimism, and at the same time, what is your biggest fear going into the campaign?
I think my biggest cause for hope is just the thousands upon thousands of people that I've met who've expressed to me that it's time for a change. It's time for a better government, and that's what I'm really, really excited about. What concerns me is that my opponents are spending so much money attacking me instead of focusing on how to serve Canadians, that it gets people less and less encouraged that politics can be a source of positive change. I'm fighting not only to put forward a good plan for Canadians, I'm fighting to remind Canadians that politics should have a good plan for the country. And everything that my opponents do to talk about negativity and attacks actually undercuts the kind of solutions and the kind of vision that Canadians need.
Thank you. So we're almost at the end of the question. So talk about your advantages and disadvantages do you face as being a son of a big Canadian leader?
Well, I think the advantage is that people know how I was raised. They know the values and the vision for a country that I've been grown up with, a respect for equality, for justice, and understanding that Canada is an extraordinary place because we are strong not despite our differences, but because of those differences, and pulling together across communities and in all the different ways we can is good for Canada. So people know that that's the way I was raised because that's who my father was. The disadvantage is that there are people out there who didn't like my father for whatever reason, who thought that he was too generous around immigration, who saw multiculturalism as a source of strength for this country, and they don't like that, and those people automatically don't like me, whether or not I reach out to them or not. They have closed hearts and closed minds. So I don't worry too much about that, but I do know that being the son of someone who did so much for Canada does have a double-edged sword.
That's for sure. Yeah, thank you.
What a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.